want to hear your Andy Cole.
Listen, I'm tired of these people, bro. Listen, you see
Andy Cole's on my list as well. So
people need to respect Andrew Cole, bro, because he doesn't get spoken about, right? For terrible reasons. This man has five Premier League titles, yeah, which
Spartans! What is your profession?
But we've got to move on. Obviously on Monday, a couple of weeks back, Truth and I were on, and we spoke about the two guys in my background and them making it into the Premier League Hall of Fame. Then they put on a vote for, I think it was 23 other players, and the public had to vote for who they wanted in. That vote is now closed. We don't know the results yet, but we thought, seeing as we're here, we might as well do our own thing and say, out of those players, who we would put in those 6 players that we would choose for for the Premier League Hall of Fame. It's a list that differs, but there are some similarities. If have you all got your list in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, well, I'll say mine first and let you lot go. So for me personally, and obviously I'll explain why after, for me, I had Ashley Cole, Eric Cantona, Andy Cole, Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, and Peter Schmeichel. And this, people, if you don't know, is for the next 6. So anyone else on that list can still make it. This isn't the be-all and end-all, just to give some clarity on that. Okay. Mr. K, who was your 6?
My 6 was Ashley Cole, Andy Cole, Frank Lampard, Tony Adams, and Peter Schmeichel.
And Truth, just your 6?
My one family, I kept on strapping on chain, but it's Patrick Vieira, Paul Scholes, Frank Lampard, Cantona, Tony Adams,
and Gerrard.
Was it? Did I not say 6? Gerrard. 1, 2. Cantona.
Yeah, you said 5.
Okay. Yeah, fine. Let's chuck Gerrard in there. Chuck Gerrard in there.
Right. Let's start off with the Mr. Controversial, actually. Let's start off with Ashley Cole. Right?
Yeah.
Now, Ashley Cole is in both myself and Mr. KA's team. Mr. KA, what's your reason for putting Ashley Cole in your Hall of Fame next 6?
My reason I put Ashley Cole in there because he's one of the greatest defenders of his generation. His balance, he had a great blend of attacking and defensive prowess. Like, you could rely on him on both ends of the field, and that's something that you cannot say for a lot of defense. Like, if you look at a lot of right backs, wing backs, whatever you want to call them, you rarely get someone with a full package. And Ashley Cole, one of those players, arguably at the time best left back, whilst he's played for years. Yeah, for a few years, even better than TJ Patrice Evra. Even
that's a no-brainer. I thought you were going to say
Roberto.
I
thought you might be like,
I thought you were going to say Roberto Carlos, bro.
I'm talking about Premier League. I'm talking Premier League.
So you guys are putting him there because he's the best left back in the Premier League.
I would say
of his generation.
I would put him as the best left back in the Premier League ever.
Yeah, he is.
Arguably, yeah.
I would say, obviously, he made that switch from Arsenal to Chelsea, which would have never been easy.
And his career progressed. He continued going forward.
Yeah, he didn't descend, he ascended, where we've seen a lot of people, and Fernando Torres being a prime example, making the switch from Liverpool to Chelsea, making that big switch that no one liked and descended. Ashley Cole ascended. The only person to pocket a Cristiano Ronaldo when Ronaldo was getting Ballon d'Ors.
Okay, but how come you guys have put Ashley Cole ahead of your Sol Campbells, your Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, you know, these guys
For me, so
in a defensive hole.
For me, Sol Campbell for me is not in the conversation.
Yeah, I
For
agree.
me,
I'm
not an Arsenal fan, so I can't speak on Sol Campbell, but he never even came into the conversation for me. John Terry, I won't speak about that because my reasons is he'll never get in there. The same reason why Ryan Giggs will never get in there. That's my reason behind it. So that's why he would never be in there for me.
The
penny just dropped for me.
The reason why I put him ahead of Rio.
You can't put him ahead of Rio. I don't think you can put him ahead of Rio.
I think
captain here.
I know Rio won more Premier League titles, but I think Ashley Cole's peak was longer. Ashley Cole's
And he was part of two winning teams. He was part of the Invincibles.
Ashley Cole's peak was longer. I think he was part of two winning teams. And Ashley Cole was consistently in teams of the season. Not to say that Rio wasn't, but Rio was on. Rio, I can say, hand on heart, I would give him a good solid 5 years of dominance in the Premier League. At peak level. I know he was good at Leeds. And then he came to United. Obviously, the first season didn't play because of the whole drugs thing. And I think
that was 2004.
From 06, 07, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11, 12, 5 or 6 years of dominance from Rio. And then you saw the decline came. We saw it against Man City with Craig Bellamy. I think that was the 11-12 season. I think it was was it
11? 11.
Was it 10-11?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10-11 season. Then you saw the decline. You saw the decline was going from there. Well, I think with Cashley, from when he was at Arsenal all the way until the Champions League final win, can you really say there was a time where he actually was on a decline? Not really. It was more age caught up with him, but he was still probably in the top 5 left backs even towards the end of his career in the Premier League. Whereas with Rio, it was a heavy decline purely because he lost the pace. Then after that,
I unfortunately could never put Ashley Cole in the next level behind. When you look at Henry and Shearer, we're talking about icons. So just below them, coming as our next 6, has to be iconic. Has to be iconic. Other icons.
Go through that list. How many icons are really on there?
Loads of icons. Ashley Cole's an icon for me.
With Ashley Cole,
right, he dated Cheryl Tweedy, man. We're talking about he's an icon.
But no, listen. The reason why Ashley Cole is not an icon is there's 2 reasons. One, because he wasn't a media darling. That's the first thing. He should be a Premier League icon, but the media didn't take to him. That's the first thing. And the second thing is, unfortunately, like an idiot, he went and married Cheryl Cole. Yeah, and when he left her, that had a big influence in the public's eyes. But my main thing is the media didn't take to him, which is why he's not an icon. Because how can you be that consistently good of a left back and not be a frigging icon? It makes no sense whatsoever.
Because he talked to freaking Chelsea, your rivals, just because Henry got 5,000 more and you wanted 5,000. That's why his name is Cashley. I'm sorry, he has to eat what he sowed.
Man. You probably fancy Cheryl as well, man.
you have to reap what you sowed. Like he was fine for it.
So did Sol Campbell.
No, Sol Campbell was on a Bosman, mate. He was on a Bosman. He came on a free. He was perfectly fine.
But it's the whole transition from the biggest rival as well.
He wanted to win trophies. Ashley said,
you can't say he got a bigger contract when he came to Arsenal, so you can't argue.
He said,
of course he did.
He wanted to win trophies.
No, but you can't argue that.
And so did Ashley.
Ashley specifically.
Hold on, it's justified.
You can't argue one for the other.
What are you talking about? Ashley said that he felt hurt because he didn't get an extra 5K that he asked for. So he wanted.
Sol Campbell, you could have didn't say it publicly. How do you know he weren't thinking the same thing?
Because he left on a free. What are you talking about?
No, but he still had a choice to stay at Tottenham and sign a new
Why?
contract.
When
But
you're there on a free, your contract is up. You can decide to go anywhere you want. He wanted to win trophies, so he left to go. Ashley Cole said he looked at Henry and said, "Oh, why are they not treating me like Henry? I asked for 5 more K, I didn't get it, so I chose to go have dinner with Jose Mourinho in a restaurant, even though he's under contract for another 2 more years." There's no defending him. That's why his name's Cashley. For years, the song about him was singing.
This is Premier League. We're judging football
but,
here. We're
but,
judging
but,
football.
But it was justified because after he left, you lot haven't won a Premier League title since. So it wasn't like
maybe if he stayed, we would have won the titles.
Maybe. But
Whatever.
for me, I'm just looking at it and I'm just like, bro, you can't be so dominant as a left back for so many years in the Premier League, to coincide with the fact that you were England's left back for how many years as well, and putting Premier League teams of the seasons and all sorts, and not be regarded as one of the best of all time. And obviously, you said it yourself. Obviously, the whole Cashley thing happened, and that's probably a slight reason as to why he's not looked at that way. But I think a bigger reason is the media didn't take to him for whatever reason, which we know partly why as well. But it is what it is. Like for me, that's who I'm putting in for me.
I agree.
But obviously, truth, we argue the point, and people let us know. We're gonna come to another defender. I think he's the only other defender that we've put in. Yeah. And that is Tony Adams. I didn't have him in mind, but obviously you both had him in yours. Obviously, Arsenal legend, Mr. Arsenal, so many titles. Yeah, boys, argue your case.
Okay.
Chief, you can go first in this one.
It's simple. Like, there's hardly, when you get called, after a club, that's your nickname, Mr. Arsenal. He was, even before the titles, he was known as a guy that was marshalling one of the tightest defenses pre-Wenger in the league. Like, that's what he was known for. And also the iconic goal. They think it's over. It is now. When he scored that goal against Everton. When you think it over, Tyler.
Because obviously it was first in 66, innit? But I think someone else repeated it for him.
Yeah. And so for me, it's iconic. I put it on there because he's iconic. He won titles with us. He was our team, probably the best captain in our history.
Sorry, True. Is it 2 titles?
2 titles. 2 titles. 2 titles. 2 titles. And I just think, in terms of when you think about the Premier League era during that time, we're talking about all the way from his inception to when he left. He was the mainstay defender. You were compared to Tony Adams. You were either the next Tony Adams or you were compared to Tony Adams. So definitely, yes, we're going there. Even though he's an idiot now, but yeah.
Mr. K.
No, I agree. Definitely, Mr. Arsenal. The toughness that he brought to the team, the leadership. He came. His first season helped Arsenal to the first league title. He helped transform that defense and made it what it is. So now he's in there for me as one of the best defenders ever. And Mr. Arsenal.
Look, the reason why I didn't have him in there is because I just think the guys that I got in there are better, in my opinion. I have no argument.
More iconic.
Not more iconic, but I just say in terms of what they did in the game, in the amount of time that they had, I would say that's why the only reason why I haven't got him in there, because I know Tony Adams, you know what I mean, absolute legend. I mean, you can't say the Premier League and you can't say Arsenal without Tony Adams. I just couldn't fit him in. That's it. I have no argument against you lot choosing him at all. I have no argument whatsoever. I don't disagree. I just think that the guys that I've put in, I just think should be in there for me in terms of what they did in the time that they had in the Premier League. That's literally it. I'm going to let you lot argue the single players that you lot had that isn't in anyone else's team. Truth, I'm going to come to you first. And it was a shock, actually. Hold on a minute. Truth, you've got 2 that no one has.
Who's that?
Yeah. you've got two. You've got Vieira and Gerrard.
I think I think they speak for ourselves. When you think about the greatest Premier League sides ever in history, you're thinking about United '99, Chelsea's 2005, and Invincibles. I don't count Man City because, as I said previously, they bought it that squad with money, but that's another thing. So I have to include a player, our captain from that Invincible side. 3 Premier League titles, came in with the Wenger regime, and he not only has he won it all, he, along with Vieira, made that role his. So when people get talked about as in the next Vieira, or imagine that, no one actually said the next Roy Keane, No, you never ever heard it. You never ever said the next Roy Keane.
No one, bruv, we don't play that shithousery football anymore, bro. That's why.
Exactly.
He wasn't that great.
Exactly. So, Vieira was for me, player that was box to box, great in the tackle, strong mentality, got everything. And, for me, you got to include him. Stevie G, I'm only including Stevie G because he's an icon in the Premier League era. He's an icon in the Premier League. He scores amazing goals. He's got memes when he slipped. When you think about Premier League and the players that come to mind, for me, Stevie G is one of the top 3 players that come into your head straight away. For me.
Yeah, for you.
For a lot of people.
I can agree with that. The reason why Stevie G isn't in mine is that purely because that everyone else that I've got in my has one Premier League title.
I agree. I agree. Like, Stevie G is the only person on my list where it's a one way. It's more for me. I love Gerrard as a player.
Oh yeah,
I love his passion, everything.
Out of all 3, obviously, you know how England argues Scholes, Gerrard, or Lampard. I loved watching Gerrard the most out of those 3, and I've got Paul Scholes in my list, but I loved watching Gerrard the most out of those 3 guys. So I completely understand.
I think for me signifies, no matter how bad English football is, when you think about English football, you think about Gerrard's passion. Like, for me, there's no player that's got more passion than Gerrard on that pitch. And he gave his all for Liverpool, man. This guy,
he did.
That slip every night. I know his wife is giving him pills to go to sleep because he must be having nightmares. He must be having nightmares. So that's the reason.
It's the lack of titles though that just has to. It kind of brings him short of that iconic, legendary Hall of Fame stage, and that's what puts Lampard over him for me.
I agree. I agree. My Gerrard one is more personal for me. I love him as a player, so I just have to include him in there.
Mr. K.A., you have got Dennis Bergkamp. Please argue your case.
The Iceman himself. This guy not only transformed the Premier League, not only transformed Arsenal, he transformed the Premier League. He brought the Dutch style of football to the Premier League. He changed the game. He's got arguably one of the greatest goals ever in the Premier League. Not even Arsenal fans talk about that goal. The whole Premier League talk about that goal that he scored against Newcastle. If for some reason you don't know what goal I'm talking about, all fans talk about it. And it wasn't just that. He wasn't a great goal scorer. He was a great passer as well. He actually has more assists in his Arsenal career than he has goals. But people don't talk about his passing game. He had a great connection, and he was such a great influence on that Arsenal team, which then transformed the way that the Premier League then played. So he had a wider impact, and he was a big part of. Obviously, it wasn't Arsene Wenger's signing, but he wasn't at the club too long for Arsene Wenger came, and Arsene Wenger identified the talent that he had and helped mold the team around him in terms of their attacking sense. And without Bergkamp being there, you could argue Henry wouldn't have been as good as he ever became.
Yeah.
So I think the influence he had on his team, the relationship, the connection that he had with other players like Lundberg, you can go through the whole team. He was just an amazing player, man. And as the truth said, he was so easy. When you talk about Gerrard, he was so easy and such a pleasure to watch as a player. Bergkamp, and he was dedicated to Arsenal, dedicated to football. The way that he used to, obviously, he's outside the Premiership, but the way he used to travel by car to just to get to games in midweek.
Man said no flying business, bro.
I know, like, but he was dedicated, man. He was dedicated to the sport, the ice, man. I love Bergkamp, man. I think I've said it all. I tried to say it in concise, shortest time period, but
listen, you summed it up well. Again, I can't argue again. Like Dennis Bergkamp for me, right? It was one of them ones. I didn't appreciate him at the time.
Yeah.
When he was playing for you lot. It's only until he retired and I looked at what a player he was that I appreciate. At the end of the day, I'm a Man United fan, so I didn't care what it was. Like it's but Dennis Bergkamp, I was just like, meh. And I'm just like, really, when you got like, but you get blinded by because you had Henry, because you had Vieira. So you like, as if you're not an Arsenal fan, you forget about what Bergkamp did and the influence that he had on the Arsenal side and how long he went on for as well. Let's not forget how long his career was for Arsenal as well. So for me, I can't argue against Bergkamp, but for me, he just didn't get in mind. Truth.
I personally want to hear about your list, to be honest, like Bergkamp, like
me.
I fully agree because I want to hear your Andy Cole.
Listen, I'm tired of these people, bro. Listen, you see
Andy Cole's on my list as well. So
people need to respect Andrew Cole, bro, because he doesn't get spoken about, right? For terrible reasons. This man has five Premier League titles, which even the truth was shocked about when we spoke about it.
I was shocked as well. I didn't realize he had 5.
In the Premier League goal scoring, he's third only to Wayne Rooney and Alan Shearer. 187 goals that he's got over his career. He is still, I don't care if back when he did it, I don't care if back when he did it, the Premier League was more games. I don't give a shit. He's still the top goal scorer in one season with 34 goals. That record still stands because it's part of the Premier League. Doesn't matter if it's been reduced now, right? Won us the league title in 98-99 when we were on our way towards the treble. That was the first of 3, right? Obviously it's not related to the Premier League, but obviously everyone knows what happened in that semi-final against my beloved Juventus. Yeah, him and Yorkie and what they did as well. And obviously when he started for Newcastle, right, he was sought after. Obviously we wanted Shearer, but we got him. And the link up that he had with Dwight York, one of the most fearsome twosomes, right, in Premier League history. You guys will know because obviously we were direct rivals back then, right? Just as much as I hated seeing Henry and Bergkamp together, you lot must have hated seeing York and Cole.
Yeah.
Apparently they were a deadly duo off the field as well. If rumors were true.
This guy. But and obviously after he left United in 2001, obviously he went on to play for Blackburn, Man City, and the rest of it. But the reason why I have Cole the goal in there is that he doesn't get recognised. He's an unsung hero, and it's not his fault that remember, we had 4 strikers, 3 elite strikers and 1 super sub, right?
This guy,
in your
Solskjaer was elite.
Right, in York, Cole, Sheringham, and Solskjaer, Plus, Paul Scholes was transitioning into the number 10 as well. And obviously, you had Beckham, Giggs, Scholes, all the rest of it. But without Andy Cole, right, and all the goals that he scored for us, we wouldn't have won certain of them titles. And for him to do what he did over the time, I know his goals to conversion rate isn't the best, but put respect on his name, man. Man's top 3 in Premier League goal scorers of all time. I'm sure his goal scorer is better than Rooney's. Goals to conversion is better than Rooney's, but obviously no one's catching Shearer. Respect the man that is called Andrew Cole. And just a final thing as well, he never got a chance to say it on Monday Night Football, but even a certain Mr. Thierry Henry, Andy Cole, and all he said is, stop it. That's all he said, yeah? They didn't give him time to say what he wanted to say. He said he would have loved to have played with Andy Cole. And that's the king right there that said that best Premier League player of all time. Respect my guy, Andy Cole, bro.
Nah, of course.
He's on my list as well, man. I think he doesn't. Yeah, I don't think he doesn't get the respect because
Yeah, that's the thing.
he was in a duo. I think the duo kind of hurt his
and you had bigger
accolades.
names there, the Beckham, the
Yeah.
Giggs.
Yeah.
you know
Not
what I
even
mean?
that, and I don't think not even that. You have to remember, he was not respected by England.
Yeah,
He was
but
disrespected by England.
didn't he have beef
With
with
Sheringham.
Sheringham? He had beef with Sheringham,
and
which was big.
because of that.
Yeah, which was a thing as well, bruv.
Yeah.
Like, if Andy Cole played for England, bruv, they would have done way better than what they had done.
Man, say they would have won a World Cup.
Oh no, bruv. No. I didn't say that. No. Don't ever say that. Those words came out of my mouth. Never, no chance. But I think they would have done a lot better.
Guys.
But
all the tapes.
But if you look at like, bruv, and that's a disrespect, because when you look at the amount of goals that Andy Cole scored compared to Terry Sheringham, and you're like, really, guys, really? Like, are we being serious here? But yeah, that's why for me, Andy Cole had to get in my list, bruv.
Nah, fair enough, man. Small. I think people needed to hear that, because for me as well, I didn't, without thinking about it, because he's not someone that you don't think about. When you do think about it, he's more than deserving of his place.
And don't get me wrong, there's bigger icons. We know that, and a lot of people are going to go for their icons. But obviously, me being a Man United fan, and like York and Cole, I loved it. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Like two black men going and busting up the place. I absolutely loved it.
Literally busting up on and off the field.
This guy's a donut, bro. But final one, because we're running out of time, bro. The last one we are gonna do, because like, I just don't want to hear it. But he's in all of our teams. It's the only guy that got in all of our teams, and that is Fat Frank. Obviously made it into all of our teams. Mr. KA, Fat Frank, why is he in your team?
Do you know what? I never used to like Frank that much.
I still don't like him.
But he grew on me. He was just consistent. He was reliable. If Adams is Mr. Arsenal, then you could argue. If obviously, if John Terry wasn't there, Lampard is Mr. Chelsea. He put the team on his back, and I actually did. Like I said, I preferred Gerrard the whole time. They had that kind of rivalry that the media created, but he was a winner. He won titles, and Gerrard or many other midfielders who are great in themselves can't hold a candle to or a light to Lampard in terms of what he did. He was a goal scorer. He got the assists, and he read the game. He knew the game. He knew how to. He had a different style of play to like the Vieiras or the Gerrards, but the way he played, he knew how to influence the game. He knew how to control the game and pop up with that goal that your team needed. And he was just always there on the edge of the box, penalty spot, just to sweep the ball into the net. Now he was a good player. He won me over.
Listen. At the end of the day, that's the one thing that I will say. He was always there on the edge of the box to kick the ball into another player and for it to go into the back of the net. Like, it's like, I mean, like when you make a career of deflecting goals, bro,
shit,
like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I mean, half of them, I don't even think they were doing the on-target thing back then, but he was just hitting players like pinball and it was going in and getting goals. I think probably about 100 of them goals, bruv, they probably were deflecting goals. The truth. Why is he in your team?
Like, I've always said with Fat Frank is that this guy, physical-wise, was not talented.
Nah.
No skills. Average passer. I know.
Basic.
I know. I got a few Chelsea fans who say, "Oh, he was a great passer." Come on, you don't call Lampard a great passer. He was good at best. He was good at best. But what he could do, he could read a game. He knew where that ball was going to be, and you don't score 177 goals in the Premier League by mistake. And I know TJ's saying they were deflections, but regardless, he had a strike on him.
Yeah.
He had a beautiful strike on him. And he was just useful. His goals, he's got a huge number of assists as well, because he was always in and about that area.
I saw that, because I was just like, he's got that many assists. You don't really think of Frank Lampard being a passer of a football. You don't.
But then when you think about 609 appearances,
you would think, they accept the amount of assists, but you just you just don't think of him passing the football because let's be honest, if you did 100 passes, 50 of them you gave the ball away. So you know what I mean.
His possession meant him getting assists because it's not like he was deep lying. He was a centre midfielder that had license to roam. When you think about Fabregas, Özil, KDB, they've all got more number of assists in way less time. So it's not like
as well.
Yeah, so exactly.
But he has the goals to
his goals compensate that,
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But he wasn't. I wouldn't put him as a great person when it comes to assist. He got his assist, but that's because of his role he was playing. Not like he was doing great slide rule passes. Flicking the ball. He was getting a good number of assists, and he had decent man up front. You get me? He never had no mugs up front.
Didier.
Exactly. So but all of that is the reason why he's in there for me. Like his goals and assists, his consistency throughout the years. As KA said,
never
he was
injured.
Mr. Chelsea. Yeah.
Never injured. No, listen, at the end of the day, I've got it in mind as well. And like, I've never liked Fat Frank as a footballer, but I have to respect the hard work because he wasn't a talent. I think you can even hear people that know him personally on the TV say he wasn't the most talented footballer, but he is the prime example of what happens when you work hard and you work at your craft and you dedicate yourself to your craft. And I think that if a lot of the man them on the roads that can play football had the dedication that Frank Lampard had in football, they would make it, bro, because his mental toughness and the fact that he strived to make it. Don't get me wrong, he had help because of who his dad was and who his uncle is as well, like to get in certain doors. As we know, there's always politics in football. Yeah. But what I will say, he took his chance and didn't look back, and he's got the goals to back that up. And you've got to respect it, regardless of whether they were deflected or not. Well, regardless of how many of them were penalties, like you have to respect what he's done in the game and the amount of goals and the desire to keep on going until his legs just couldn't go anymore. And for me, that's why Frank Lampard gets in all of our teams. But we got to wrap up, guys, because we've been going on for a while. Just obviously other people that were in our teams. Cantona was in there, Scholes was in there. I'm just trying to think. Yeah, Cantona and Scholes. Schmeichel.
For Schmeichel.
Just and Schmeichel as well.
Different. Put a keeper in there.
Yeah, put a keeper in there, even though the truth didn't concur. But people, we got to wrap up. we got to wrap up, unfortunately. It's been another good one. Oh man, I really want to talk about Cantona as well, but we can't keep going. But people, before we go, as usual, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and make sure to follow our social media pages as well. I need to say thank you to my guys, The Truth and Mr. KA. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Please.
People, what we got coming up? We're going to have Fight Talk coming up. Obviously, we're going to get a couple more of the man them on there. We've got loads more football content coming up, and you're going to see us three again, hopefully, before the playoffs start.
I was going to say it. I was my man forgot about NBA.
No, hopefully you're going to see us before the playoffs start. I know the play-in starts next week, so hopefully you'll see us before the playoffs. You're going to see us before the playoffs starts, people. Get the NBA talk going on. But people, as we're about to approach another phase of the lockdown being unlocked, I personally want lockdown 3 without the deaths, because I can't stand people being out on the road. But people, continue to stay safe, and we shall see you very, very soon. Peace.
Take care, people.